everybody. Welcome to the Locks Don't Lie weekend preview show. I'm your host, Tony Betts, and before we get to Tony Nascar and Tony NFL, why don't we go over the weekend that was? Great weekend for the show as we finished 52 and 64 overall, plus 15 units on the week. 2 and 24 in NASCAR as we hit the 25-1 Matt DiBenedetto to really put us over the edge in the 6-1 Todd Gilliland. And then we had one of our best ever college football Saturdays and Fridays as we went 7-1 on Friday and continued the streak for our combined college football weekly record to 22-12 plus 8.22 units. A great weekend in college football, and we kept that rolling into the NFL as we finished 28-27 plus 5.5 units on the weekend. Like I said, a great weekend, but we don't celebrate for long. It's time to move on to Week 5 and the ROVAL. With that being said, let's move on to the ROVAL and welcome on Tony Nascar. Tony Nascar, step on in here. You hit a Talladega outright, and we ended the weekend positive in NASCAR. That's the only thing you need to look forward to at a super speedway. Who are you looking forward to this week at the ROVAL? Yeah, Tony, super excited for the ROVAL this week. We're 5 for 5 on road course races this year.
On the five-time
the Cup Series on outrights. We're hoping to keep that streak alive, but if it doesn't, we're just going to say this isn't a traditional road course and we still win 5 for 5 on the season.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Shout out to Matty D, 25-1, cashing home that Truck Series ticket. You guys heard that first here on the Locks Don't Lie weekend preview show. And then you guys got Austin Hill dominating the Talladega race and only made this terrible block on Noah Gragson with 3 to go.
The 9 of Gragson. The 21 goes up to block him.
To throw himself out of the race. He'll never make that mistake again, and Austin Hill is getting my money at every single restrictor plate he runs for the rest of his life. For the ROVAL this week, Tony, though, let's go on to the Xfinity Series. As you can see, our favorites here, and my goodness gracious, these numbers. Plus 200 on the Dinger, the Road Ringer, AJ Allmendinger. The books are sick of giving me money on the guy. I said I was about to take him at any number, but plus 200, I don't know if I can do that. Plus 350 Ty Gibbs. I mean, I'm not really sure what to give you here, Tony. These numbers near the top have absolutely no value in my opinion. The Dinger and Ty Gibbs are going to be up front and running around, but this track is crazy. This could get a little wild. There could be wrecks. There could be overshot corners. You never know what you're going to get out of the ROVAL. So there is a long shot that I want to point out down the list here, and that's Daniel Hemrick at 15-1. He has an average start of 2.66 and an average finish of 5.33. He's finished and started third here in the last 2 races. Started in second, finished in 10th in his first race here at the ROVAL. I think you're going to see Daniel Hemrick up front riding around inside that top 5. He just seems to be pretty fast here at the ROVAL, and I like that number at 15-1 if you don't see any value near the top of the board. Like I can't bring myself to the Dinger at plus 200, Tony. Great stuff as always for the Xfinity Series, Tony. Who do you got for the Cup Series this week? Yeah, Tony, for the Cup Series, you pop up the odds behind me here, and you can see there's been some early movement on Chase Elliott. Started around plus 800, instantly got hammered to plus 500, as a lot of respected bettors got in on Chase Elliott early. I love Chase Elliott this week. You know he's going to be up front, and he's got the monkey off of his back of needing a win. There's going to be 0 points racing for Chase Elliott. He's just racing for wins. That's kind of what you're looking for this week. This week is very easy to steal some stage points, especially if you don't think you're a winning car. And it's very easy to determine if you're not a winning car this week because some drivers just aren't good at road courses compared to some drivers' pace. So you might decide to punt it, get yourself a stage win, get yourself a top 3 stage finish in both of the stages, and then you just end up finishing 8th in the race. And you're fine with that because you got your points and you moved on to the next round. I expect Chase as the fastest road course driver this year to be riding around up front and most likely leading most of the laps in this race. Getting chased around by your co-favorite here at plus 600, Tyler Reddick. I love Tyler Reddick this week. He has been dominant fast at the road courses that he's been dominant fast at and just kind of middle of the pack at the others. But you can see his road course speed rating. You cannot ignore that. 4th fastest in the field behind only the Trackhouse guys of Ross Chastain and
Suarez, the Mexican.
Speaking of the Trackhouse guys, if you're looking for some long shots, I love Ross Chastain at 16-1.
Suarez, the Mexican.
It's at 14-1. Not really quite sure about Ross Chastain. That outright makes me super nervous this week. I have a feeling him and Denny Hamlin are just going to be on top of each other.
Whoa, pause on that though.
And this is the perfect place for Denny Hamlin to get his revenge and boot Ross on out of the championship.
I was going to get back to him and just rattle him. I wasn't going to wreck him, but I got to him and he turned him around. So
as a plus 3,600 for a full unit Ross Chastain to win the championship better, I will never forgive Denny Hamlin if he gets him out of the playoffs. But golly, Ross certainly deserves it. So those are who I'm looking for this week, Tony, at the ROVAL. It's a favorite week. It's the road courses. Let's see if we can cash some value or maybe some of these long shots. Great stuff as always. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this elimination race in the NASCAR playoffs. We'll see you next week, Tony. Limited amount of weeks left with you, so I appreciate you coming on here. As we're going to keep moving on to Tony NFL. Tony, step on in here. You had a pretty good week last week. Just above 500, one above 500, but positive in the units. Looking forward to a good week as you are 129, 129, and 6 plus 10 units on the season so far. What do you got for us right now? Yeah, Tony, why don't we go over an NFC North matchup real quick? Vikings-Bears, classic NFC North divisional rivalry. I love these sort of NFC North rivalry games. I believe they're some of the best rivalry games that get played each year, and I'm going to hammer this Justin Fields under trend. He's 10-4 in his career to the under, and a perfect 5-0 to the under when it's above 43. At the time of recording, the over-under is set at 43.5, and with such a low total, I'll go ahead and take the touchdown as well with Chicago plus 7, Tony. There's only been 5 teams in NFL history, Tony, that have come off of a London game and not have the bye week the very next week. Each of those teams entered the fourth quarter either tied or trailing with the team they were facing that next week, and they went 2-3 against the spread, and 2 out of those 3 favorites lost straight up that next week. You're going to get a very sleepy Minnesota Vikings team. Give me the plus 7 for the Chicago Bears. Give me the under 43.5, 42, 44, whatever you can find it at. I like it all the way down to probably 41.5, Tony. Good NFC North rivalry, Tony, no matter how the teams are doing that year. What do you got for Sunday Night Football? Yeah, Tony, Bengals, Ravens. Ravens -3, over-under set at 48, and the Ravens are getting healthy. JPP's probably coming back. That defensive line is going to be looking good for the Ravens, and I think these Bengals are still being overvalued from that miracle Super Bowl run they had last year. There's a lot of issues with this team, and we're seeing it play out this season. I mean, just last week, they barely got by a Miami defense that had to play 90 plays 4 days earlier, did not have a starting defensive back on the field by the time that game ended, and their starting quarterback got stretchered to the hospital with a concussion, and it still took an interception by my boy Teddy Two Gloves on the last drive. These Bengals have some issues that they need to get worked out, Tony. I'll take the Ravens -3. The trends also back it up as John Harbaugh against the spread against teams with extra prep is 32-17. And you know what? I'll think about taking that first half spread as well, as John Harbaugh's first half ATS record, he's hitting at about 62%, and Lamar Jackson is 38-18 against the spread in his first half spreads over his career. So I'm thinking about taking the Ravens -3 full game, -2.5 first half. Well, thank you so much for coming on this week, Tony. Let's hope you have another great week in NFL football. Before we wrap up, if you guys enjoyed what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that sub button so you do not miss another upload from Locks Don't Lie. Remember, we have weekly live streams every Saturday and Sunday to sweat out every single bet that we give out here on the preview show. And speaking of every single bet, why don't we go over that stacked lock list that we have every single week. Before we move on to the official picks, we have officially hit 100 subscribers on the channel. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the support. Please keep hitting that thumbs up. Please keep hitting that sub button. It helps me so much in the algorithm. Enough of that chatter. Let's move on with our official picks as we have a stacked card, including 2 bets coming up tonight. One here in a couple hours at 7:30. We've got the over 57 in Houston, Memphis. And then we've got probably the worst college football game being played this year. The 2 worst teams in the NCAA, Colorado State and Nevada. Give me CSU +3.5. Let's go Rams. Another 10:30 kickoff. We've got San Jose State money line parlayed with Mississippi State money line. That's kicking off tomorrow at noon. And let's move on to our noon kickoffs as we'll start up here at the top. We've got Florida minus 10.5 against Missouri. Those Missouri boys have blown the last 2 weeks, and give me Florida by 2 touchdowns in this game. Under 58 in the Arkansas Mississippi State game. Then some Saturday action. Akron plus 11 against Ohio. Just doesn't feel right that it's on Saturday. Man, I can't wait for November for those Tuesdays. Interstate Georgia rivalry. Give me Georgia Southern plus 3 against Georgia State. UAB minus 9. Some more action. Give me Kent State minus 5.5. UCLA plus 3.5. Vanderbilt plus 17. UConn minus 5. New Mexico plus 3.5. South Carolina plus 10.5. And give me Stanford plus 7 as we will move on to our NASCAR picks for the evening. Both Xfinity and Cup. Little bit of low exposure. I kind of want to see what happens in practice and qualifying and see if we can get some good value on some other cars. As you can see, we've taken the grossest number possible on the Dinger, the Road Ringer, AJ Allmendinger. By the times our numbers came up, it was plus 150 to plus 170 at Barstool, DraftKings, and FanDuel. They gave me plus 200. I wanted to get a little bit of that value before it moved at my book. And then we've got Daniel Hemrick, like we highlighted earlier, for half a unit at 14 to 1. We'll move on to the Cup Series here as we've got 2 outrights adding up to a half a unit. Give me 16 to 1 Ross Chastain. Give me 25 to 1 Christopher Buescher. Small bets on those, as you might as well call this Favorites Friday. We've got 2 units on the 2 favorites here. 5 to 1 Chase Elliott. 6 to 1 Tyler Reddick, as we've just got to get down on the fastest road course drivers all season long. And then we'll move on to our Sunday NFL card as we're stacked with 20 plus bets. Starting off at 9:30 a.m. out in London, we will take the New York Giants plus 8. I'm not too sure about this one. I might end up coming back on this in the morning and just kind of taking a loss at whatever number I can find. But stay tuned for the lock list on Sunday morning as we've got the over 47.5 in the Browns Chargers game. Under 44, Chicago plus 7. We like that game to be low scoring. Under 22 in the first half of Houston-Jacksonville. On big, Jets plus 3.5. And on the money line, we hear some shark groups are coming in on the 3.5 this weekend, and we want to be along for the ride with the fun. Huge number on Pittsburgh. I'll take Pittsburgh plus 14 for the first time ever, closing as 2 touchdown underdogs. And rah-rah Mike Tomlin's going to have these boys ready to play. Give me that plus 640 for a little sprinkle as well. Got New England minus 3 against the Lions, and I'll also take the under in that game. As we've got the Tony teaser of the week here, we're going to tease down the Buccaneers and tease up Cleveland. See what numbers you can get them at. If you can get them both through the 3 and the 7, that's what we're looking for on those numbers as we'll move on to the rest of our NFL games here. A couple 4 o'clock kickoffs. We've got Philly minus 5, Rams minus 5 against the Cowboys. Then you heard Tony NFL earlier. Baltimore minus 3, minus 2.5 first half. That's it. That's the official lock list for the entire weekend. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Once again, thank you for 100 subscribers. I cannot wait to see where we go from here. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. May the winners be yours. Locks don't lie.